Hello. Today we will be reading the statement of facts from Leo Kelly's criminal complaints. Statement of fact. On January 6, 2021, your affiant Michael J. McGillicuddy was on duty and performing my official duties as special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Washington Field Office. Specifically, I was assigned to Shift 1 operations group, which was forward deployed to the vicinity of the United States Capitol upon WFO's crisis response plan activation tasked with investigating criminal activity in and around the Capitol grounds. As a special agent, I am authorized by law or by government agency to engage in or supervise the prevention, detention, investigation, or prosecution of a violation of federal criminal law. The Capitol is secure 24 hours a day by U.S. Capitol Police. Restrictions around the Capitol include permanent and temporary security barriers and posts manned by U.S. Capitol Police. Only authorized people with appropriate identification are allowed access inside the Capitol. On January 6, 2021, the exterior plaza of the Capitol was also closed to members of the public. On January 6, 2021, a joint session of the U.S. Congress convened at the U.S. Capitol, which is located at the 1st Street Southeast in Washington, D.C. During the joint session, elected members of the United States House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate were meeting in separate chambers of the Capitol to certify the vote count of the Electoral College of 2020 presidential election, which had taken place on November 3, 2020. The joint session began at approximately 1 p.m. Shortly thereafter, by approximately 1:30 p.m., the House and Senate adjourned to separate chambers to resolve a particular objection. Vice President Mike Pence was present and presiding, first in the joint session and then in the Senate chamber. As the proceedings continued in both the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, and with Vice President Mike Pence present and presiding over the Senate, a large crowd gathered outside the U.S. Capitol. As noted above, temporary and permanent barricades were placed around the exterior of the Capitol building, and the U.S. Capitol Police were present and attempting to keep the crowd away from the Capitol building and the proceedings underway inside. At approximately 2 p.m., certain individuals in the crowd forced their way through, up, and over the barricades, and officers of the U.S. Capitol Police and the crowd advanced to the exterior facade of the building. The crowd was not lawfully authorized to enter or remain in the building, and prior to entering the building, no members of the crowd submitted to security screenings or weapon checks by U.S. Capitol Police officers or other authorized security officials. At such time, the certification proceedings still underway, the exterior doors and windows of the Capitol were locked and otherwise secure. Members of the U.S. Capitol Police attempted to maintain order and keep the crowd from entering the Capitol. However, shortly after 2 p.m., individuals in the crowd forced entry into the Capitol, including by breaking windows and by assaulting members of the U.S. Capitol Police, as others in the crowd encouraged and assisted those acts. Shortly thereafter, at approximately 2:20 p.m., members of the House and Senate, including the President of the Senate, Vice President Pence, were instructed to and did evacuate the chambers. Accordingly, all proceedings of the U.S. Congress, including the joint session, were effectively suspended until shortly after 8 p.m. the same day. In the light of the dangerous circumstances caused by the unlawful entry to the Capitol, including the danger posed by individuals who had entered the Capitol without any security screening or weapons checked, congressional proceedings could not resume until after every unauthorized occupant had left the Capitol and the building had been confirmed secure. The proceedings resumed at approximately 8 p.m. after the building had been secured. Vice President Pence remained in the Capitol from the time he was evacuated from the Senate chamber until the session resumed. During national news coverage of the aforementioned events, video footage which appears to be captured on mobile devices of persons present on the scene depicted evidence of violation of local and federal law, including scores of individuals inside the U.S. Capitol building without authority to be there. On January 6, 2021, at approximately 9:08 p.m., i.e. the same night of the above referenced activity, a self-described non-profit internet service emphasizing Judeo-Christian principles posted an exclusive video interview with an individual whom the reporter identified as quote-unquote Leo Kelly, and whom I later confirmed to be Leo Christopher Kelly. It's in this description of the video. The website describes Kelly as, quote, one of the first men to breach the Capitol building and go inside with dozens of others, unquote. During the interview, Kelly acknowledged being inside the United States Capitol for between 30 and 60 minutes. Kelly stated that when encountering law enforcement and others were, quote, most respectful as you can be when you're really pushing in on somebody's space like that, unquote. Kelly further stated that he got all the way into the U.S. Senate floor and said a prayer, for example, with others. Specifically, the interview included approximately 17 seconds of video footage that Kelly likely filmed with his mobile telephone from the dais of the Senate floor during the insurrection. While the footage was played during the interview, the reporter said, quote, you shot some video in there, to which Kelly acknowledged, quote, yeah, unquote. The reporter then continued, quote, we're going to show you some of that, unquote. Kelly's footage included desks that were open in disarray and other persons involved in the insurrection. The area of the Senate floor that Kelly filmed appeared to be overtaken as there were no members of the Senate present and no significant law enforcement present at that time. Upon being asked how he felt about what happened that day, Kelly said that he felt, quote unquote, conflicted as, quote, you violate someone else's space, force your way into a building. In some ways, that really feels wrong, but that space really does belong to us, Kelly continued. Quote, that should be only as an absolute last resort. Maybe we shouldn't have done that, but it's just that you come to the end of your rope and you get swept up in a movement and there's a bunch of people running around and doing this. It's not a logical mind that's working anymore. You are just reacting to things. And finally, there's a chance you can be heard. We took that chance. God will judge us. Perhaps I did something wrong. I need to be as respectful as I could while I was there, while still saying what I felt needed to be said, unquote. On January 8, 2021, I performed a Google image search for quote-unquote Leo Kelly and located Kelly's profile at a former employer located in Central Rapids, Iowa. Accordingly, I positively identified the individual in the profile picture as one of the same as the subject in the above video interview. I then performed public record search using Kelly's name and the name of his former employees to fully identify Kelly, a resident of Cedar Rapids. Based on Kelly's driver's license photograph obtained from the Iowa Department of Transportation, I further confirmed that Kelly was the subject of the above referenced interview. On January 11, 2021, the Gazette, a daily print newspaper and online news source published in Cedar Rapids, released a news article on its website entitled, quote, "Cedar Rapids man said he has entered U.S. Capitol with a mob, but was not violent. Quote, that is not who I am," unquote. The article's reporter had spoken to Kelly earlier that day. Among other comments, Kelly told the reporter, "If the FBI or whoever calls, they know where to find me, I'm sure. I'll talk to them," Kelly said. "I understand there could be consequences for what happens, and I will accept those and deal with them." On January 14, 2021, the FBI Cedar Rapids Resident Agency was contacted by a Deputy United States Marshal, an acquaintance of Kelly's. The Deputy United States Marshal advised that Kelly had contacted him subsequent to the above referenced events at the U.S. Capitol. For example, as Kelly was driving back to Iowa. Specifically, Kelly said that he would turn himself in if an arrest warrant was issued for him. Based on the foregoing, your affiant submits that there is probable cause to believe that Kelly violated Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1752A1 and 2, which makes it a crime to 1. Knowingly enter or remain in any restricted grounds or buildings without lawful authority to do, and 2. Knowingly and with intent to impede or disrupt the orderly conduct of government business or official functions, engage in disorderly or disruptive contact, or within such a proximity or to any restricted buildings or grounds when or so that such conduct in fact impedes or disrupts the orderly conduct of government business or official functions, or attempts or conspires to do so. For the purpose of Section 1752 of Title 18, a quote-unquote restricted building includes a posted, cordoned off, or otherwise restricted area of a building or grounds where the President or other people protected by the Secret Service, including the Vice President, is or will temporarily be visiting, or any building or grounds so restricted in conjunction with an event designated as a special event of national significance.